From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is Wake Up Weather.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Kelly Rawson here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center with your live 6 a.m. weather show. Now, we have a very active radar this morning. In fact, we have a lot to talk about this morning with these thunderstorms dumping several inches of rain in parts of our area this morning. We do have some flooding and flash flooding issues going on across the area. So we are going to go ahead and dive right in to the radar across the region, specifically into parts of Lewis County. But here's the overall look at radar this morning. Again, we're seeing scattered thunderstorms across the area, and they are dumping a lot of rainfall this morning. Why are they dumping a lot of rainfall? Because we are dealing with a very moist Gulf moisture here in the Tennessee Valley. It has meandered this far northward, and so that is why we are seeing that, paired with instability, creates these thunderstorms, very heavy rainfall, because we have a lot of moisture to work with. So we do have one weather alert this morning. That is that flash flood warning, and that is for Lewis County, and that goes until 7 a.m. So another hour left on that flash flood warning. The good news that I have to share so far this morning is we have not yet gotten any reports of any flooding or flash flooding. Just some ponding on the roadways and some roadways covered in water, but nothing of significance, which is some great news this morning. But let's go ahead and zoom in, and then we'll go ahead and bounce across the radar to some other storms this morning. But zooming in into Lewis County this morning, again, a good portion of Lewis County under that flash flood warning until 7 a.m. But the good news, again, is we are starting to see rainfall alleviate and ease up in parts of Lewis County, especially in parts that are included in that flash flood warning. In fact, a lot of you folks are starting to dry out and no more rainfall, at least for now. Just the eastern portion of that flash flood warning dealing with some rainfall still at this time. But let's go ahead and show you just how much rain has fallen over just the last 3 hours. In fact, it's been raining for more than 3 hours there, but I'll go ahead and pixel query some of these values: 2 inches, 3 inches, upwards of 5 inches, in fact, in some locations. We can play that back 6 hours, actually. And I'll go ahead and query some of these values just to show you how much rain has fallen. Upwards of 5 inches in a lot of places, especially into downtown Hohenwald, 4 to 5 inches. Everywhere else in that flash flood warning, at least 3 inches for a lot of you folks. Again, this fell in a short period of time, which is, of course, what has prompted that flash flood warning. And in fact, rainfall rates, like I said, have alleviated just a little bit, which is some great news this morning. Again, before, about an hour ago, these rainfall rates were over 2 inches an hour. So this is definitely trending in the right direction. Hopefully we do not receive any more reports of any sort of flooding or flash flooding issues in Lewis County. But I do want to just continue to reiterate the fact that this flash flood warning does go for another hour until 7 a.m. So we'll go ahead and go back to radar, jump across southern middle Tennessee, because we do have some heavy rainfall into parts of Giles County, about to be moving into the Pulaski area. Again, we're just seeing heavy rainfall, some lightning at times. So we can go ahead and call these thunderstorms. Otherwise, just pockets of heavy rainfall this morning all across southern middle Tennessee. More dry out west into parts of Wayne County as well as Hardin County. But that is what we are dealing with southern middle Tennessee this morning. Heading into North Alabama, we are looking at, again, just a few pockets of heavy rainfall, some lightning just south of Franklin County, otherwise just kind of sporadic in nature, some heavy rainfall into Moulton and parts of Morgan County in Alabama and northeastern Madison County in Huntsville. I'll go ahead and switch radar sites since we are now looking at North Alabama. But again, there's some pockets of heavy rainfall this morning, so even if you are not under any sort of a flooding or flash flooding alert, just be mindful, be very careful on the roadways. Remember, if you see a flooded roadway, be sure to turn around and don't drown. So let's go ahead and proceed with the rest of this regularly scheduled weather update. But again, that flash flood warning for Lewis County in effect for another hour until 7 a.m. So again, just be very careful. And like I said, if you do encounter a flooded roadway this morning, be sure to turn around, don't drown. It is definitely worth it. to add about 5 to 10 minutes onto your commute than to not know what is underneath all of that water and to potentially risk your life. But we will go ahead and switch now to, again, our regularly scheduled update, looking at downtown Hohenwald. In fact, this morning on our Arctic Air Heating and Air Conditioning Skycam network. Again, of course, it has been raining and raining and raining over the last several hours, but the good thing here is I'm seeing vehicles move with ease. I'm not seeing any sort of big flooding issues this morning. So again, that is some good news. Like I said, haven't really received any reports out of Lewis County or Hohenwald. So if you do have any reports, be sure to leave those in the comments. Of course, I'm sure some of those side roads and some of those back roads are flooded and underwater. But again, just let me know in the comments and let your family and friends know if you do have a flooded roadway in your area. Again, like I said, turn around, don't drown. That is life-saving advice. Over into Lawrenceburg in Lawrence County. Again, we are just looking gloomy. It is raining here at the station if you don't hear that on the roof. But again, just a gloomy scene, but not really dealing with any flooding issues here other than the normal ponding on the sides of the roads. Over into Columbia, good morning to you folks in Murray County. All is calm there so far, just a few rain showers. Again, some rain heavy at times for the rest of today. No flood watch in effect for today, at least at this time, but with the rest of the thunderstorm chances this afternoon, we could be seeing, again, some more heavy rainfall leading to isolated flooding to flash flooding issues. So again, we'll continue to keep you updated and be watching radar very closely for the rest of today. Over into Florence, a little bit of a blurry scene this morning, getting woken up over into Florence and UNA, but we are mostly dry over into Lauderdale County, and because of all of this rainfall, it is hard to see in some locations, especially if you are seeing a very heavy rain shower. Again, we've been seeing rainfall rates over 2 inches per hour, so that is very, very heavy rainfall, in fact, blinding at times. So just keep that in mind, some fog settling in and that rainfall contributing to that lower visibility in parts of the area. Temperatures are in the 60s and 70s this morning, a little bit warmer into parts of North Alabama. Huntsville at 77 this morning, as well as Decatur. Cooler into Hohenwald thanks to all of that rainfall. Now that's moving out, cooling off a little bit. Temperatures in the upper 60s, but we are in the 70s for just about everywhere else to start off today. And I do think we are going to be seeing a lot more activity than what Futurecast is showing, so I will just say that right off the bat. But we do have that thunder shower and thunderstorm chance for the next few hours, more scattered in nature, but then heading into this afternoon, we will continue to see showers and storms pop up as we get into the peak heating hours of our day. And we will continue to see, again, scattered to maybe even widespread coverage with those showers and storms. Again, I think maybe a little bit higher in coverage than what Futurecast is showing. So just bet on thunderstorms in your area later on this afternoon. That thunderstorm chance really continues for the rest of this morning, but ramps up around lunchtime and then continues into the afternoon and into the early evening as well, with those thunderstorms continuing, but then eventually and finally fizzling out by the time we get to about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Now, we could still see a few lingering thunder showers overnight and later into the evening, but any sort of widespread activity should be starting to wind down later on this evening. Overnight, mostly dry, but again, can't rule out a few thunder showers continuing to linger in the area. Otherwise, mostly cloudy for the overnight temperatures, getting down into the lower 70s. Starting off mostly dry, maybe a stray thunder shower or two for your Thursday, but we do have additional thunderstorms on the board for Thursday afternoon. Scattered in nature, slightly lower rain chance for your Thursday, but we do still have those scattered pop-up afternoon thunderstorms on the board for your Thursday afternoon as we stay a little bit unsettled with plenty of Gulf moisture to work with. And then for your Friday, it's trending a little bit drier, but we do still have thunderstorm chances on the board for your Friday. But the trend is drier heading into the weekend. So we are looking at just maybe an isolated thunder shower both Saturday and Sunday as we kind of lose that steam of the Gulf moisture. However, we are going to be cranking up the heat. Lower rain chances means more sunshine, and that means warmer temperatures. You'll see that here on our temperature and heat index chart. We are going to be in the 80s for today, again, thanks to a lack of sunshine, more cloud cover, as well as that rainfall. But then we are going to be in the 90s for the rest of the weekend into the weekend with those heat index values, even into the weekend, just into the lower triple digits. But I say just because we've been dealing with heat more intense than that earlier this summer. But we are still going to be hot and humid for the weekend, mid-90s as we say goodbye to the scattered to widespread rain chances. If you're heading out to the bus stop anytime soon, best to just pack the kids with the rain gear this morning, because if they don't need it this morning, they will likely need it by this afternoon, with scattered thunder showers in the area, and that will continue into the afternoon, scattered to widespread in nature. So again, be sure to bring the rain gear with you before you head out the door for the day for today. Over the next few hours, again, that thunder shower and thunderstorm chance will continue, and for the rest of today, with these thunderstorms that do develop and move through, could contain some very heavy rainfall. So we will be watching for the potential for flooding and flash flooding. Isolated problems, not widespread enough to even prompt a flood watch, but something that we will be watching very closely as we progress throughout the rest of today, as those rain chances increase heading into this afternoon. Again, mainly between the hours of 1 p.m. and 6 p.m., but we could see thunderstorms before that. We could see thunderstorms lingering beyond that, as well as temperatures reach the upper 80s for this afternoon. And then we are going to start to warm up as we start to decrease our rain chances over the next few days. For your Thursday and Friday, we're looking at scattered thunderstorms. Again, probably going to be able to lower the rain chances for your Friday, but I was able to lower rain chances for Saturday and Sunday. So that is good news for the weekend. However, bad news for anyone who does not like the heat, me included. Temperatures in the lower to mid 90s heading into the weekend, with those heat index values in the lower triple digits. So as you are prompted to spend more time outdoors heading into the weekend as we are drier, be sure you are staying hydrated. So again, that flash flood warning for Lewis County, Tennessee, that will continue until 7 a.m. So again, still be very cautious and very vigilant. Do not drive over flooded roadways. Like I said, it is best to reroute yourself and spend the extra 5 to 10 minutes than to not know what is underneath that water on the roadway, because you don't know if if you've driven that road millions and millions of times. You don't know if what's under there has been washed out, and you just simply do not know how deep or how fast that water is moving. It doesn't take much to put yourself in a life-threatening situation. So again, just be very careful. Turn around, don't drown. That goes for the rest of today, as showers and storms are expected with heavy rainfall at times. Well, that is a check at your local weather forecast. Be sure to stay safe, stay dry, stay vigilant heading into the rest of today. I'll be back at 8 a.m. with your next weather update.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.